They say like reading a great cartoonist is like reading someone's handwriting. And that's the way I really believe, like, so comics, cartooning, right? Comics are words and pictures working together to tell a story. And some people like feel like, like I can't draw good. And I'm like, that's not important. You just need to draw well enough to get the idea across. And when I draw like crazily fast, and that's on purpose. Some of you maybe already saw me signing my books. Like, I like to sign, I actually compare my drawing style to running downhill. Like, you want to be drawing so quickly that you're not double guessing yourself, because you want it to be like someone's handwriting. Say you were, instead of a room full of educators, you're a room full of students, right? And I were to ask, I should have asked this anyway, who here likes to draw? Hands up, please. That's pretty good for adults especially. Because normally, like if I were to ask that in like a high school, well, first up, when I ask that like in junior, like maybe like 4th or 5th grade, almost everybody puts their hands up, right? Ask that in like a junior high, handful of kids put their hands up. I asked that in a high school, and they all basically point at like one kid. And that kid invariably is like the kid who doesn't want to be noticed, like, please stop looking at me. So for this many adults, that's actually pretty great. My whole theory is the reason why people stop drawing is because they want to make perfect works of art. It's like as you get closer, as you get better, you want to do something perfectly. And my whole thing is like, man, I could go through every single page of my books and point out a dozen mistakes probably. But the way you read is you're not sitting there scrutinizing every single detail, every single panel. Probably no one would ever note. It took my publisher and I until only about 3 years ago to notice that he's got the wrong amount of fingers there. Like, you're just soaking in these details. But people, they beat themselves up wanting to make this thing perfect. And when you can't reach that perfection, because none of us are perfect, they just give up and they stop doing this thing. I think having this book come out made me realize, you know what? My own sensibilities really do tend towards kids. And I have found that adults will find my work anyway. So this attempt to like rescue my work from what I viewed as like the childish ghetto was so misguided, because there's no better audience than appealing to kids. And I really get to shape a generation of readers this way, in a way that like the comics audience for adults, these are the same people who liked that issue of Thor I showed you. I went to the Pratt Institute. Again, I mentioned how lucky I am that my parents were always very supportive of my dreams. A lot of people are freaked out about the idea of letting their child go and become an artist. But my parents, who I should mention, we came from like no money at all, and were pretty young when they had me. And I think that actually worked to my benefit, because they would still play with me as a kid. Like, they would draw with me, and that was such a big thing. Neither of them were artists, but they would sit there and draw. And for me to measure myself against my parents and we'd be able to collaborate in stories was huge. And they were just always so supportive. It's like, yeah, George, you want to do this, you do it.